Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSperts. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me always is Andy Molitor. He's not actually at a bar, folks. Maybe he is. I don't know.
I clicked the wrong Periscope when I sent this.
I was just gonna say,
and he came up under Drew Dentic, so I'm gonna have to retweet this. So
well, that's good.
All right,
reach a different, slightly bigger audience today, I guess. Folks.
Yeah.
Apologies if you tune in and Drew's not here.
Periscope. Yeah, he's asleep. It's so early. It's West Coast. So anyway, I'll just retweet that myself. So it'll come up on my feed now. Anyway, yeah, it went up under Drew's. Apology, Drew, if you're up at this point in the morning. Anyway, yeah, real quick. Final day for the WinBet sweatshirt sign up. Again, get your sweatshirt if you were in Colorado, New Jersey, or Michigan. I don't have the long reads. Some of those reads you hear where they do all the different states. Eventually we'll get there, but $500 free bet risk-free bet in New Jersey and Colorado, $1,000 in Michigan. Again, I had one college basketball play, didn't come through, never does. Had a nice week and a half, and now it's all gone to shit. So never recapping again. Hopefully you just played Alex's tennis. Tennis is straight up money. Not only
that's why we're a team.
I said fuck it. Played the over. I played the over. I played the sets over. I played the exact score. Benchick plus nice 2 or 2-1. Your NBA did well. Everybody, and I actually did play that too because a couple other people were on the Wizards. So I played that. But as we dive closer here to Selection Sunday, we're gonna keep having some more college basketball guests, and let's just right away bring in Rob Dauster, Field of 68. We've had him on before. We've talked a little. College basketball guy, college basketball writer, podcaster, little everything. How are you doing today, Rob?
I'm doing great, man. It was a wild Thursday night in college basketball. I can't remember the last time that we had that many good games on one Thursday night. Like normally that's kind of the end of the week, so you get the dregs of the Pac-12 and a random Mountain West game here or there, and sometimes you'll get like an American game. But we had Iowa, Michigan. We had Ohio State, Michigan State. We had USC, Colorado for the best team in the Pac-12. We had an overtime game in the Mountain West, San Diego State and Boise State. It was a fun day of hoops.
Yeah, the schedule has just been. I've grown accustomed over the years. It's like, all right, Monday is just like shitty SWAC and MEAC and a few other games, and then you have this, and then like Thursday is a big slate of games, but they're all like mid majors or below. And then obviously what Saturday is, but this year has thrown me for a loop. And every time I pull up the schedule, I'm just like, oh, like there's like 3 marquee Big Ten games tonight. Like what the shit is this? It's fine. Like there's good games on all the time. And, we saw some late February Izzo ball and teams that I can't make sense of, like up and down. USC, what they did against Oregon, and then what they did last night. Like, again, I haven't been able to keep track of some of these West Coast teams and make sense of anything, but I had fun watching some of those games. I watched some of the Michigan State, and yeah, there's a decent slate tonight. We've had a conference tournament start yesterday. There's a couple more this weekend, just small ones as we ease into it. But then I had the schedule pulled up for that. Then we really get revved up into the next week and a half when all the big conference tournaments do start as we head our way towards Selection Sunday. And I guess that was my first question for you is, does it get weird on Selection Sunday because of some of this? That was the thing I looked into yesterday was the first conference tournament was the Horizon. Not everybody had played the same amount of games. So they just said, well, we got to come up with a way to seed this that's fair. And they put together all these different criteria because some teams had played 20 games. Some teams had played 15. And I get that they wanted to make a fair little tournament. But once we get to the big boys, the big selection, like our teams that just haven't played a lot of games, or they just shit out of luck?
Yeah.
I think
that's what it comes down to.
So much more money,
Like what else are you supposed to do at this point? We already have an issue with unbalanced schedules in some of these bigger conferences, and now it's even more unbalanced because we're going to have teams playing like 10, 12 league games. They're going to be missing some of their biggest opponents, some of the toughest teams in the conference. So I don't really know what else you can do. Some teams are going to probably get screwed. and some teams are probably going to get the luck of the draw. And it just kind of is one of those things where it is what it is. Like, we're living in the middle of a pandemic. We're playing a basketball season in the middle of a time when, like, we're not even allowed to go outside, right? Like, by most states' guidelines of how many people are allowed to be, like, in one indoor building at a time, like, we technically should probably not be playing these basketball games. So you know what? Like, the fact that you're actually playing, you might just have to deal with some bad circumstances. So we're kind of, I've reached the point where it's like, it is what it is, man. There's not much you can do. It's the same thing. There were people that were in an uproar over the NCAA's decision to say, like, we're going to have 4 standby teams, and we're just going to slot them in if somebody has a positive test within 48 hours of selection Sunday. And they're like, yeah, how can you do that? What if it's the 1 seed and you're going to put Duke as a 1 seed? Well, it's like, what else are you going to do? Like, what other option do you have? We got to play these games. We got to provide all of this content for the people that are paying all of this money to buy the product and to broadcast the product. You got to do something. So are you going to completely rejig the entire bracket, or are you just going to pull one team out and slide another team in? The latter option is easier.
Yeah, you almost need that contingency.
You know what we got to do? We've made it this far, okay? Everybody just chill out. Just find a way to get it done. All we have to do is get this done. We got 6 more weeks. Just get it done. That's all you got to do. Find the easiest answer, make it work.
So just about every single year, we see a team kind of rip through a conference tournament, whether it be a smaller or bigger conference, and then everybody is kind of on that team the first couple rounds of the tournament. Do you think with the way some of these schedules are set, that's going to both limit opportunities for maybe some of these teams making a run like that, and then also kind of compounding the fatigue problem? And, maybe we won't get that this year, and if we do, maybe it'll be something to actually fade instead of, kind of ride the hot team, if you will?
I don't know. That's a good question. I am looking forward to some of these conference tournaments, because I think teams like Duke and Michigan State and Kentucky and some of these blue bloods that haven't really gotten it going until now are going to find a way to make a run. And, like, honestly, I'm all the way here for it. I want to see Duke find a way to make a run and end up being like an 11 seed, right? I want to see Michigan State be the 12 seed in the NCAA tournament bracket that everybody picks as the first round upset. How cool would that be? Like, if they make a run, how funny would it be if we go from Duke, Michigan State playing in the Champions Classic to playing in the first 4? How great would that be? That'd be awesome. How much fun would it be to have Kentucky go on a run and go win the SEC tournament title and then get into the NCAA tournament and be like a 14 seed? Imagine being like a 3 seed Virginia.
That's what I want.
You got to play Kentucky with BJ Boston, who I'm assuming is probably going to be playing well, and Isaiah Jackson, who's going to end up being a first-round pick, and Keon Brooks and all of these dudes. Like, you go through an entire season if you're Virginia, and what you get as a number 3 seed is John Calipari and the Kentucky Wildcats in the first round. That'd be awesome.
And that's the thing too. You do run into this, maybe even every year where, it's silly. The gamblers make fun of just the mainstream sports media a little about this, where they're like, oh, big upset with the 10 seed upset the 7 seed. And like, hey, the 10 seed was like a 3-point favorite. Actually, it wasn't an upset whatsoever. You could have that even lower if you have one of these blue bloods that, like, oh man, we can't give them much of a higher seed, but then you slot them in at like an 11, 12, and it's like, man, they're a 4-point favorite because they've been playing so well, and they're goddamn Kentucky. And,
do you remember 2 years ago? It was I think it was Minnesota played Middle Tennessee State.
Middle Tennessee, yeah.
And Middle Tennessee State as a 12 seed was the favorite, and everyone was talking about the upset. And it's like, no, but I kind of go back and forth on that. Like, I have no problem if you just want to say like that the higher seeded team or the higher ranked team losing and just calling it an upset. Because, like, at the end of the day, it's whatever. Who cares? It's just, I think the easiest way to phrase it is like the higher seeded team loses, and like people get excited about upsets. So what's wrong with having a higher seeded team lose and people, we got this great upset in college basketball? That means it's going to lead SportsCenter. More people pay attention.
Especially when they had an actual upset like 2 years before, when it was the same team. They took down Michigan State. It's like a 15 seed or something. That was a fun game. I remember. I can remember where I was.
Fun, man. I had so much money invested in Michigan State winning the title that year. Because they were the favorite. Like, that's the thing people forget. When Middle Tennessee beat Michigan State in 2016, that was the year that Michigan State had Denzel Valentine, who was the National Player of the Year. That was the year that they entered the tournament as like the favorite to win it all, and they lost in the first round. Like, I made the argument the other day that was as big of an upset as we've seen in college basketball. That was like the same level of caliber of upset as Virginia losing to UMBC. The title favorite lost in the first round.
I was at the Encore in Vegas outside at the pool, and there's a bunch of, everyone's decked out in their Michigan State gear, all these guys that were big fans of it, and like they were upset. And I saw those guys like 2 hours later at the craps table. They were a mess. Like they got after it, started drinking. So I mean, it was I can remember that upset. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, you bring up the Virginia one. I was in Vegas for that too, but I had passed out that afternoon, so I didn't even. Again, the greatest upset in basketball, I was asleep for. I remember waking up and I had all these alerts on my phone and shit. But that I think we'll probably see some weird stuff like that, just with the brackets, being goofy with all the unbalanced stuff. And I love that, like you brought up right at the beginning, the what are we calling them? Like the backup squads.
The stand-ins, the
stand-ins
teams.
Yeah, and it's, every time they do that, where they say, "Oh, these are the next 4 teams out." Sometimes I'm like, "Yeah, you're just saying that. Like that's horseshit. You can say whatever you want because it doesn't have any meaning. Like this time,
So
it'll
actually
have meaning."
I have a prediction. Are you guys ready for this? So I think what's going to end up happening is we're going to have one of these stand-in teams get plugged in, right? And they think that their season is going to be done. They get plugged in and they end up making a run to like the Elite Eight or something like that, maybe even the Final Four. And then what's going to happen is like 10 years down the road, we're going to have like it's going to get made into a movie. And then Keanu Reeves is going to be the guy that plays the head coach. And I'm just calling it right now. At some point in time, we are going to have Keanu Reeves playing the head coach in a movie about the replacement team that gets plugged into the NCAA tournament and makes a run to the Final Four. I'm calling my shot. So if that happens, I want credit.
I think you got the wrong actor for the head coach, but
that was oddly specific. Like the head coach.
I like that you took a swing, but Keanu doesn't strike me as a coach. I can't see him giving the big speech,
I got the vision of like maybe it's just because I'm thinking about like old school Keanu and
Christian Bale. Can Christian Bale go nuts and like do
maybe
that?
Christian Bale.
Is he too crazy? Would he push it too hard? Anyway,
it depends on who he's playing, right?
We'll workshop it.
Yeah,
I really kind of want. Now, I don't know about the whole. A deep run would be something. You feel like a team that gets bumped in. God, now I kind of want that to happen. I want one of these taxi squad stand-in teams to get bumped in because it goes one of two ways where it's like they're given this opportunity and they're just pumped. They're pumped up and they run, they run through like the first 2 weekends somehow, or they just get beat by like 35 by a bad team because they'd already mentally checked out for the year and it just goes to shit right away. So hopefully, I mean, I'm not in this scenario when I say hopefully that happens, somebody gets COVID. So don't say I, made some team get COVID and had to get kicked out of the tournament, but it would be pretty interesting. It would be pretty interesting. And yeah, it's already gotten interesting as I'm starting on, conference tournament preview stuff. I looked at, just the America East tomorrow. I'm like, man, Maine didn't even qualify. And then I look, I'm like, Maine played like 8 games. What is going on? And then I'm realized like, oh, Maine quit like a month ago.
Yeah,
they shut their season down. Yeah, they just shut their season completely down. I'm like, God, this is such a goofy, just a fucked season for me trying to figure out some of this stuff. So, I mean, in every bracket so far I've looked at is completely different from last year. They're just trying to figure out where to play these games. So, hopefully Indiana is nice and safe. They should be shipping vaccines to Indianapolis. Just get everybody in that city just cleaned up so we can make sure this goes off without a hitch.
I like that. That's very proactive.
Yeah, the big thing is going to be like how isolated are the teams going to end up being? Because like the major concern that I have for some of these conference tournaments is you get into these. Everyone's going to be in the same city, right? Let's just take the WCC for example, right? They're going to play the tournament in Vegas, right? You're taking 10 men's teams and 10 women's teams to Vegas, where like at least on the men's side, you basically have 2 that have any reason to keep playing. Half of that conference, why is San Diego still playing their season? What do those players on that roster care about? And I'll tell you this much. If I was like 19, 20, 21 years old, and I was on the San Diego basketball team, and I was taking a trip to Vegas, and I knew that I had nothing to play for, like, I can't promise you that I wouldn't do something dumb and like try to sneak out and go hang out in the casino for a while, right? I can't say that I wouldn't do that. And I'm sure that there are players, and I don't want to just say San Diego because it feels like I'm labeling them, but I feel like there's going to be players on teams that are like, yeah, you know what, I'm done with this season. I'm just going to go out and party because I'm in this location and find something out. Then one of them gets positive. Then it kind of spreads to the team. Then it spreads to one of these teams that actually matters that we care about. Like that to me is what scares me about these conference tournaments. Like I can definitely see that happening. And the worst thing in the world would be if that happened to like Gonzaga. Imagine if Gonzaga's season gets torpedoed because some idiot from some other program decided to go out in Vegas. Like that seems like such an unnecessary risk, doesn't it?
Come on, kids, wait till you lose.
Yeah, and
right.
like
Wait till you lose, then go be
the alternative is like Gonzaga says we're just forfeiting the turn. We'll forfeit the first game. We'll sit out because obviously they're not only in but likely the overall number 1 seed. But then what are they going to do? They're going to say, well, we're going to put in a second team. Every other conference would have serious words about that because some other conference is going to lose a team because it's not what if some weird team gets in? So. And yeah, I think we'll go with Pepperdine. Pepperdine's a party school, Malibu. Let's not pick on San Diego there. I feel like it'd be the Waves problem, but yeah, that would be the thing. If some smaller school, I think they're in the same conference. Maybe I'm mixing up WAC and WCC, but
no, you're right. But I was just gonna say, like, I'm trying to think, like, would I rather? This is how my mind works at this point of the season. You say we're gonna go to Pepperdine and Malibu. I'm like, would I rather go to school in San Diego or Malibu? And like that's where my mind's at right now. That's what I'm thinking about. I think I'd rather go to San Diego. They got better breweries down there, easier to get to. Probably less expensive too. Malibu seems really expensive.
Pepperdine sounds like a spendy school, honestly. And that's the thing. Like there are conferences like this where there's one elite team that's they're in no matter what. They're ranked. Nobody else is ranked. It's maybe a 1 bid conference. That would not only that, but I have some Gonzaga 10-1 that I would just be furious about sitting on it all year. But that would be the worst case scenario is one of these elite teams gets it from a team with not much to play for. So I do think just everything going on, they're going to have all these because I looked at all the schedules I'm looking at all these conference tournaments. I look at all the schedules like shit, like even these smaller schools, like a lot of these games are on TV, just middle of the day on a Tuesday. Like there's so much TV revenue, and back to your point about the replacement teams. Like you say, oh, a team can't play. We'll just give this team a bye? Like no, CBS is going to be pissed because they want to have that game on. They
need the inventory. That's what they're paying for, the inventory. Not having a game ruins everything for them, and it's better to it's better to have a game and have it be a shitty game than to have no game at all.
Oh yeah, I mean, just everything down the line, the deals they've negotiated with the sponsors and everything, like they have to have all these games. Like, otherwise, there's just you have a 3-hour gap on True TV. You're just gonna pump some more Impractical Jokers. Nobody wants that.
Okay, see, that's where you're wrong. I love Impractical Jokers. Maybe it's just because I have a sense of humor of an 8-year-old, but I think that show is absolutely hilarious.
That's like the only 2 things I know that are on True TV. That and basketball come like that's the joke.
Why would you watch anything else? What was the one they used to have? It was the towing guys. You remember that?
The tow truck guys.
Yeah, the tow truck guys. What was it called?
I have no idea. There's so many reality shows now.
That's what everything was for a while.
Ice Road Truckers. Parking
no,
wars.
It was
somebody in the chat says parking
wars.
There
was the repo guys, like the fat repo guys from North Carolina. Oh, what was it called? Someone listening to this absolutely knows.
This is the thing I have to do every year is like figure out what channel, which is nice because I've been going to Vegas so many years now. But like when I was younger and I didn't do that, it's like,
Lizard Lick Towing. That's what it was. Remember Lizard Lick Towing?
There you go.
Now I do. I don't have to figure out what
I could see them, but I couldn't. I knew the name was bad.
Lizard Lick Towing. Oh man, how did we get on that topic?
That's because that's the only thing like True TV has. It's like one show, and then once you get to tournament time, it's like I don't know. They must be somehow affiliated. I don't know how it works on the back end, but they're affiliated with everybody else because that's where they pump one of the 4 games.
So if you want a little inside baseball on this, when I was still working for NBC, one of the things that my editors wanted was like this SEO heavy post. You know how everyone like makes that post like, what time does the Super Bowl start? Well, all my editors wanted something that said, what channel is True TV? So because all the people that would Google it as soon as the tournament starts, like that thing would spike in traffic on the first day of the NCAA tournament. So that's how I made my bosses like me a little bit, was by finding a way to hop onto the top of the Google charts for what channel is True TV.
That's kind of genius because like everybody Googles that like shit. I know what everyone knows what CBS and like TNT is, but when you have to go find that one channel and that was I mean even when I was younger, you couldn't watch every game. Like not every game was on at the same time. They were bouncing back and forth. I mean, way back. Like, oh, we're going to cut to this game now. And they started doing that. And that sucked because it's like, no, I want to watch this game. What are we doing? But so it is nice at least that they have everything on now. And then with ESPN Plus now too, you can watch like all these shitty conference tournaments. Like I said, the American East, like it starts at like noon tomorrow. There's some bad games like Stony Brook and stuff, but I did play some stuff tonight. I'm going to be looking at that tomorrow. Before we let you go, did you have anything you were looking at today? I thought I saw some plays come across on BetSperts. I follow you.
Yeah, I have two that I like tonight. Well, one that I like and one that I can't decide if I actually do like it. But the big one is Purdue. Last I saw, Purdue was getting a point. I got them on I think the money line was like minus 103 when I put it in. And you're taking Matt Painter against a team that's 4-11 in the Big Ten, right? Like, what does Penn State have to play for at this point? They're not getting to the tournament. They don't have a real coach. They've spent the last 4 months doing nothing but getting pipe cleaners shoved up their nose. Like, at some point, it's just going to kind of wear on you. And look, they've played hard, and you got to give them respect for that. But at the end of the day, I don't think they have anyone that can guard Trevion Williams inside. I think that Matt Painter is, this is the time of year where you want a great coach, and Purdue's got something to play for. They got a reason to keep working. So I like Purdue there. The other one I like, and I'm curious your take on this, is St. Louis minus 4.5. I just think St. Louis they're kind of and they haven't really gotten it going after their shutdown, but that team is just too talented to keep struggling. And, I think this is a chance for them to kind of do better with a little bit of seeding in the Atlantic 10 tournament and kind of make a statement like, hey, you know what? We're still here. We haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah, and I actually went the other way on that one. And it took a little bit to hit submit there. And I'm like, God, are we riding just they've played like shit a couple games here, and they're still a really good team. I've liked Richmond a lot this year. It was it was just, for me, it's just a numbers play. Like I make it closer to 2.5, 3. I think they can stay inside the number. I think probably St. Louis wins in a close one. And they need this. They need this badly. This is a struggle bus for the last week, and they need to improve their seeding. They need to improve not only for that, but for the big tournament. So, I think St. Louis it'll either they come out hair on fire, get a close win, or if this one goes down, if they lose this game, I might bet against them in the season finale as well, because then they're just in a fucking tailspin.
Yep.
But that'll be the game I actually watch. So I'm excited for that one tonight. And then Purdue again. You can see I didn't wear my Gophers hat today. I agree with you on the Penn State thing. There's going to be some of these teams, and again, I didn't wear my Gophers hat because they're kind of in the same boat as Penn State. They came out nice. They were 500 through a real tough stretch to start the Big Ten season. And then it's just been a world of pain since. They've been rough. So, some of these teams, it's not even
That's a nice way to put it. That's a nice way to put it. I wasn't gonna mention Minnesota on here. I just figured that was too triggering, and I didn't want to hurt your soul too much. You seem like a nice guy.
Yeah, and again, you'd said this last time, or somebody had spoke to this. It's not like, oh, hey, we're a middling team in a big conference. Let's close the season out strong and get a high seed in the NIT. Let's get some postseason experience for some of these guys.
Do that? That sounds awful.
It's hard to sell that to begin with, but now it's it doesn't even. It's not even happening. So. Silly.
Hey, we're Minnesota. We were a top 15 team a month ago, but you know what? We're gonna lose the Northwestern at home, and we're gonna go to the NIT. And we're gonna be excited about it. And yes, how are you gonna sell anybody on that team that after everything they've gone through this season? That just seems awful. I'll tell you what. If Minnesota plays in the NIT, I will take all of my money and I'm going to bet all of it on whoever Minnesota is playing in the first round of the NIT. Just put it all on them.
We're former NIT champs. I believe. I'm gonna have to double check that, but
Richard's first year, I think it was, right?
It's a title.
It counts. That's a title.
It's a ring.
Yeah.
I remember that back when
they got a banner up.
Who was our big guy? 5, 6, probably 10 years ago, and his dad played for Virginia back in the 80s.
Ralph Sampson Jr.
Yeah, Ralph. Sampson. I think that was man, they could both win NIT titles, him and his dad, because we were in the NIT one year with them. But no, again. Thanks for coming on, Rob. Love having you. Love having your NCAA takes, and look forward to talking to you more as we get through March. Good luck tonight, and have a great weekend, man.
Thanks, guys. You too.
See you, Rob.
All right, and let's get to some picks as we close out the week of Brown Bag Bets. Why don't you just tennis has been going so well. Let's just start with that.
All right. We're going for another over here. Not 2.5 sets, though. Belinda Bencic is going to play Iga Swiatek, maybe Swiatek. I've been working on the last name. I'm close. But that'll be tonight. It'll actually be, I think, about like 2 in the morning or so, Eastern Standard Time, if you will. 2:30 in the morning. So late night if you're on the West Coast, kind of overnight. I'll be well asleep by 2:30. But this looks off to me by at least a game. I would have hung 21.5 here. Was able to get 20.5 at Standard Juice. If that's still available, take that. If you have 21 at anything less than -110, that's fine too. Staying away from the over 2.5 sets here. Swiatek is the better player, and I expect her to win this match, but I think we're going to have at least one long set here. So grabbing the over 21.5, because again, I think this should be at least 21, if not 21.5. So getting underneath a key number here for our over.
All over it. You know I'm riding these. I'll hit college basketball real quick. Somebody did ask. I did play UTRGV a little smaller. They're off a break. They did play a game the other day, but they played a game against a D2 team. Not always the best indicator of a team is back and back in the swing of things. So I did play this for a half unit. I know somebody in the chat asked why. I make this a decent-sized edge, but at the same time, I'm not sure what I'm getting from a team that hasn't played for a bit, except for, like a 50-point win against some D2 Christian school. So UTRGV, the Vaqueros, is a half-point play. Like I said, Richmond going against Rob here. 4.5, getting the points against the Billikens. I will be on the Spiders. I think this is going to be closer than 4.5. Love getting over possession here. Same goes with Bowling Green. This is a team I've backed a couple times this year. I think they've even got me some money once in a while. So in the MAC, I will be on the Falcons, and you might be able to get a better number on this than me even. I think I had to bet a 2 somewhere because one of my outs just was carrying a shit number. I think there's probably some -1s on James Madison. Another team I've backed a couple times. This is another spot I like for them. I make them like a 4.5 point favorite. I went and adjusted a little because I'm like, well, that's too far. And even after adjustments and looking into things, I still have this number at like 3. So I like James Madison to get the win versus the Drexel Dragons. I don't know, something like that.
They are the Drexel Dragons.
Drexel, yeah, that's got to be up in your neck of the way. So, all right.
Indeed, about 30 minutes down the road.
Again, like I said, I can't win shit lately.
Dragon on campus. It's cool.
But your NBA, again, another winning night for you with the Wizards. There are no teams with winning records in the Southeast Division, but the Wizards they're getting closer. They're in like 4th place now. So what do we
really
have?
Would have liked had they lost that game and covered per what Drew and I talked about with that.
With all the Heat futures.
All our Heat futures, but that's okay. They cast for us. We've got another 2 underdogs tonight. The Pacers +3. They are playing the Boston Celtics. Boston, again, still struggling to get their full roster together. I actually have this pretty close to a pick 'em. So like Indiana plus the 3 would stop probably at 3. If you have 2.5 at a cheap price, maybe that's worth a smaller play, but drawing the line here at 3. Again, I have this closer to a pick 'em as I start to look at some of the matchups. Boston is really going to struggle with Miles Turner. They're really going to struggle with Sabonis here. And I think that Indiana has a couple guys that at least can stay in front of Jason Tatum. A guy like Malcolm Brogdon won't struggle too much there. So like the Pacers here, +3 points tonight against the Celtics. And then another underdog, the Blazers or the Trailblazers.
This team has not been cool to you.
Which we're at about 500, I think, on the year back in the Blazers. The last one time was pretty rough. They got blown out. But we're basically setting up kind of a Lakers fade here. The Lakers look pretty disinterested and like they're kind of rushing as fast as they can towards the break. Their last couple of weeks have been awful. If I just look at numbers for the last 10 games, I have this number very close. I was playing around with it this morning and came with a few scenarios where Portland might even be a small favorite. Again, if you looked at just the last 10 games. So I think this is a nice spot for them. Dame Lillard should do well. I know Dennis Schroeder might be coming back, but I don't think he wants to see Dame Lillard across from him his first night back. We still have no Anthony Davis. So I think Enes Kanter is going to have a fun night getting a lot of offensive boards and a lot of cheap points there. So grab the Blazers with the points +5.5. I actually played this at +5, so would play it down to that.
All right. And as always, we don't do these on the weekends because we're off on the weekends, but you can definitely check out any picks we put in on the BetSperts app, especially basketball. So anything Alex and I play in the association or college basketball will be up on the app over the weekend. I did have one more. It was Niagara. That game's canceled, so that sucks. I was going to play them at like a pick 'em over Canisius. And yes, have a great weekend. Somebody says love some middle of the night tennis overs. Yes, that is a lot of fun to wake up and see. It's best to wake up. No, they're still playing. Even better. Like we're in the third set here. So perfect. Again, yeah, check us out on the app. I'm Andy. He is Alex Christensen. No spaces. And we'll see you tomorrow, Monday. We'll see you Monday.
Yeah.
Until